Who will win? Gary Paffett, Paul de Resta,
René Rast.
Veer wird
Meister.
It's going to be a long weekend.
I think we've got similar levels of pressure.
We have nothing to lose.
Who will win?
But when you're in a championship position, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to finish it off.
We have the least pressure.
I'm the fastest.
Who will win?
Are you ready for the final showdown here at the Hockenheim ring? Well, we certainly are. Welcome to the DTM. It is the last race of the season and everything is open. That means today we're going to find out who will be the champion 2018. Is it going to be Gary, René or Paul? I guess we're going to find out today. But first it's time, of course, for the qualifying because we all know this is absolutely essential.
Absolutely essential. Got to get it nailed in qualifying to give you the best possible starting position. And there is Gary Paffett then, and the Mercedes-AMG Motorsport Petronas team boss is pictured on the right-hand side of your screen. One Mr. Uli Fritz, and tens of thousands of spectators making their way to Hockenheim for this final showdown for 2018. The race has gone, and the championship has gone to the wire. We've seen Gary Paffett, now we see René Rast, who has had an incredible run of success. The first driver in DTM history to win 5 races in a row. As he said in the preview piece, the pressure is really off him, but it is on Gary Paffett and Paul de Resta as the cars make their way out for this 20-minute qualifying session, which is about to get underway. Short, sharp qualifying for DTM to set the grid for the final race of the season. Thank you, fans, for 30 years from Mercedes-Benz, as of course they will bow out, and you can see how critical qualifying is, and Gary is very much well aware of that, has put his car right to the front of the pack as they will make their way out onto the 4.54 kilometer circuit here at Hockenheim, playing out the 2018 season. So the cars lined up in the pit lane, ready for this qualifying session. They expect 2 runs from each drivers. What they tend to do over the 20 minutes, go out and put a banker in right at the start. And this was what happened in FP3. Jamie Green was quickest with a 1:33.032. Then it was Wittmann, Lucas Auer, René Rast P4, Gary Paffett P9, Paul de Resta P13. Don't read too much into free practice though, because where it counts is during qualifying. And with 3, 2, 1 points up for grabs for 1, 2, 3 places in qualifying as well. Absolutely critical. Toto Wolff there for Mercedes-Benz, as you can see. And Jens Marquardt on the pit wall for BMW. So the tension in the grandstands already. And as I say, this here at Hockenheim for this weekend, it is very nearly a complete and total sellout as the championship goes to the absolute wire for 2018. Gary Paffett awaiting the green light then to get the cars out onto the track for their qualifying session. And we are but 50 seconds or so away from the light turning green, and then all of a sudden the track becomes a very busy place. In the race yesterday, René Rast then sealing his 5th win in a row, followed by Robin Freins, and then it was Timo Glock P3. Gary Paffett was P4. Paul de Resta though down the order in P8. So the cars anxiously awaiting the green light and being released from the pit lane and onto the track. So wherever you look here at Hockenheim, a real festival atmosphere. The weather has played its part as well. Weather conditions are absolutely glorious and perfect for racing. So on board with Gary Paffett, we are 3 seconds away from the light going green.
Should be green now. Should be green, confirmed.
So Gary out onto the track then, knows what he has got to do. And there is Paul de Resta equally knows what he has got to do. Jens Marquardt looks on then as the BMW drivers make their way down the pit lane also. And we're on board with Timo Glock on the podium yesterday. And said very much one of his favourite tracks is Hockenheim, as Toto Wolff makes his way down the pit lane and into the garages. René Rast is released from his garage. Ahead of him is the Jamie Green Audi.
First car is Paffett, now going to turn 6.
Team radio in DTM is absolutely live. No delay on it at all. You hear it as the drivers and or engineers hear it at the same time. Yeah, just an indication of how busy it is here at Hockenheim. And there have been plenty of occasions when we've been here at this particular time in the year where you wouldn't be buying ice creams, that's for sure. But the weather is such that you certainly would this weekend. Splitter cam of Nico Muller's car then gives us a fantastic shot of the run into turn number 11. In fairness, that was turn number 8, the Mercedes turn. Nico Muller. See which gear he's in. And running down now towards turn number 11, the Mobile 1 turn. Right-hander now as Nico Muller heads now towards the banked left-hander, which is the Sachs turn number 12. Choosing the very middle of the track. Feathering the throttle, then it's turns 13, 14. And then into the final 2 turns, turn number 15 and turn number 16, which brings us back onto the start-finish straight, as you can see, round there at just on 120 kilometers per hour before giving it an absolute footful again from 3rd to 4th gear before they head towards turn number 1. So as soon as we have meaningful times, we will bring those to you. But already 2.5 minutes of the qualifying session have elapsed. Augusto Farfus has been in for a new set of tyres. And here comes Philipp Eng. Team go to work on the Philipp Eng car. Bruno Spengler also in the pit lane. He's on his way out now. Local time here at Hockenheim, 11:15 in this qualifying session to set the grid for race number 2, the final race of the season. We have the clock on Mike Rockenfeller. Purple squares means it's overall best time. Green squares mean personal best time. Of course, it's going to be an overall best. It's the first time we've run the clock. Although Gary Paffett has now crossed the timing line with a 1:36.778 and Pascal Wehrlein with a 1:37.521. But here comes Mike Rockenfeller, who will break the timing beam now with a 1:35.310, provisional P1 for Mike Rockenfeller then. So Rocky is P1, Paffett P2, then is Pascal Wehrlein, Paul de Rester and Danny Juncadea of the times so far. Tyres getting warmed up though, and Gary Paffett we're on board with now. Parabolica heading towards the hairpin, quicker than anyone through sector 1. Or a bit of a lock up into the hairpin. That will have compromised this lap for Gary Paffett. Runs off onto the curbs, get the car back between the white lines once again. So that lock up and the compromised turn into turn number 6 will have compromised this lap. Inevitably for Gary. Though he's still quicker than anyone through sector 2. So this could still be an exceptional time for the Mercedes-Benz driver. Very much wants to bow out of his extraordinary DTM career with the championship. So P3 at the moment for Gary Paffett, but with 2 purple sectors. As he heads towards the timing beam now, here comes Gary Paffett, the Mercedes-Benz driver, and goes from P3 to P1. Takes 2.2 out of previous best time. It's a 1:33.023. So Paul di Resta now goes second fastest, some 3/10 behind Gary Paffett. Then it's Danny Juncadella. Nico Müller is on a quick one though, as we join him on his camera that's located on the splitter of his car. 2 overall bests, as you can see, through Sector 1 and Sector 2. Here comes Nico Müller then, heading towards the timing line now from P6. He goes to P1 with a 1:33.009. And this is the critical one. This is the important one, potentially, with regards to the Drivers' Championship. It's René Rast. So, personal best, Sector 1, better than anyone in Sector 2, and he's about to complete the entire lap. And Sector 3 now, and he goes quickest by some 2/10. The first sub-1:33 time we've seen, because it's a 1:32.787 from René Rast. Nico Müller, once again, he's on a quick one. So in replay then, René Rast then absolutely powering the Audi to that provisional P1 position, but there are still 13.5 minutes of this qualifying to be done in DTM for the final race of the year. The grid to be set from this qualifying session. Got the car very airborne, as you can see, and already both Rast and Müller in Sector 1 have gone quicker than previously. Danny Juncadella, personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2. Now, Nico Müller's middle sector was not as strong. So here comes Danny Juncadella. And it's P5 for Danny Juncadella at the moment, on board with Nico Müller then. As I say, the middle sector lost just a little bit of time in the middle sector. Heads around the final turn, the Sud Curve now does Nico Müller. He's currently second fastest. And stays second fastest, that time some 6/10 down on the fastest time that we've seen from René Rast, who's also lost time in the middle sector. Robin Freins is following the René Rast car at the moment. So the order is Rast, Müller, Paffett, di Resta. Although di Resta is now pushed back by Lucas Auer and Eduardo Mortara. So René Rast into the pit lane. 12.5 minutes of qualifying remaining. This is DTM for 2018. Here is Timo Glock on the podium yesterday. Personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Marco Wittmann now goes 9th fastest. Timo Glock moves from P18 to P5 with a 1:33.322. The only driver in the 1:32s is René Rast, currently with a 1:32.787. Augusto Farfus had a good, strong qualifying session yesterday, and matching that today with a 1:33.186, which at the moment gives him P5. Bruno Spengler is 6th fastest. And Jamie Green, who was quickest in the final free practice session earlier today, has just done a personal best through Sector 1 as Philippe Eng runs over the runoff area. Rast remains the quickest driver out there, and no one is setting purple sectors at the moment. A few are doing personal bests. Marco Wittmann, who had a torrid time of it yesterday. The two-time DTM champion, Marco Wittmann, who of course had a crash in FP3 and was not able to take part in the qualifying session, ended up having to start the race from the pit lane. Actually finished the race P16. So he'll be hoping for much better luck today. So the order is Rast, Müller and Paffett, and those three drivers are all in the pit lane. We're following Marco Wittmann, the BMW driver, two-time DTM champion then. And that was Jamie Green running off. Here comes Marco Wittmann then to complete his lap, and he goes second fastest. With 3 personal bests put together, he delivers a 1:32.967. So he and René Rast, the only drivers in the 32s. So Rast quickest, Wittmann second fastest, then it's Müller, then it's Paffett, then it's Eng, then it's Auer. So here we can see then in replay, whoa, getting very, very airborne in the Audi, but they're holding it all together. So pit lane becomes a very busy place then as we reach half distance in this qualifying session for DTM. The race to come at around about 2 hours time from now, so not much time for the drivers and or engineers in between qualifying session and the race. So here is Jamie Green, who we saw airborne just a few moments ago. He was quickest, as I say, in FP3. Is currently 11th fastest, and as you can see from the sector indicator colours on the graphics to the left-hand side of your screen, it's not looking like a brilliant lap from Jamie Green. In the championship, this would be if everything stays this way in qualifying, because there are 3, 2, 1 points up for grabs for 1, 2, 3 places in qualifying. Paffett will be on 239 points, as you can see. René Rast adding points to his tally through, at the moment, being quickest driver thus far. But we still do have the second part of qualifying to come, and a lot can happen between now and then. So, in replay then, the René Rast car. And the order on the left-hand side of your screen. And there is Gary Paffett inside his car. He's currently 4th fastest with a 1:33.023. So time to be found to match that of René Rast. And the time runs out. It gets very, very tight towards the end. In replay then, let's take a look at Gary Paffett. In the Mercedes-Benz. In Mercedes' final DTM race, of course. He wants to seal the championship. A lot can happen in the race, 55 minutes plus 1 lap. Qualifying isn't absolutely everything, but by Jiminy, doesn't it help? And there the car of Paul di Resta, who is currently way down the order, P13, in terms of qualifying time.
Is Gary going for 2?
So listening to what radio traffic that we can. And in replay here, Paul di Resta then in the first part of qualifying. So 7.5 minutes remain, that's all, and the order is Audi, BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz. And there, Gary Paffett to the left-hand side of your picture, and Paul di Resta to the right-hand side. As the final preparations get underway for the final part of qualifying, to set the grid for the final race of 2018 in DTM. So a very healthy spectator crowd here as Gary's partner looks on. Wife, and there's Bernd Schneider, Mr. DTM then. Gary knows what he has to deliver. As the clock continues to count down. Paul di Resta poised also. All of a sudden, the pit lane will become a very busy place. Here comes Gary Paffett then out of the pit lane for the second part of qualifying. Pascal Wehrlein in the number 94 car. And Gary Paffett then with a quick glance to the mirror. And what he's done, he's bought himself a clear track ahead of him. He's out ahead of anybody else. Paul di Resta, nonetheless, he goes out after a number of other cars have gone as well. So he's going to have cars ahead of him. Finding clear track space is absolutely critical during qualifying. And Paul di Resta with Nico Müller right behind in the number 51 car. Here comes Augusto Farfus then, who is currently 7th fastest. The cars out on track are Nico Müller, Augusto Farfus, Jamie Green, Danny Juncadella, and here comes René Rast then. Winner yesterday. Once again making history by taking 5 wins in DTM racing in a row. Extraordinary performance that he has had. Gary Paffett then warming the tyres up. 5.5 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. There is Pascal Wehrlein. There is Joel Eriksson, about to complete his first season in DTM. Mike Rockefeller in the number 99 Audi. There is Paul di Resta. Then it's Nico Müller, Augusto Farfus, Robin Freins, Jamie Green, and then René Rast, who too is mired with quite a lot of traffic ahead of him, but they are all Audi brand mates, so they will certainly not be blocking him during qualifying. So Rast, of course, is the fastest man so far, a 1:32.787. Now, we have seen it in qualifying where early run times have not been improved. Will today be one of those days? Klaus Ludwig looks on. And Maximilian Gertz to the very left-hand side of your picture there. Former DTM driver, now very successful GT racer. So Jamie Green ahead of René Rast now, as René Rast tries to find the clear space out on track. Here's Gary Paffett then. So the Mercedes-Benz driver. Around the Sud curve goes Jamie Green and René Rast. And just as they cross the timing line, we have just over 4 minutes of qualifying left. That will set the grid for the final race of the 2018 season here at Hockenheim. Season opened here with incredible racing. And yesterday, the first part of the weekend, we saw incredible racing once again. Gary continuing to weave from side to side, generating temperature into those tyres to give him the best possible grip for the lap that is going to be critical. P4 at the moment it is for Gary Paffett. If there was no improvement, he has Nico Müller, Marco Wittmann and René Rast ahead of him. Toto Wolff looks on. So Gary Paffett is making his way into the Sachs turn now. Turns through the Sachs turn towards turns 13 and 14. Before turn 15, then the Sud curve, which is turn 16, the final turn on this track, and that's where he is right now, and heads to break the timing beam. So crosses the timing line at around about 225 kilometers per hour, rattles the car through turn number 1, and heads up towards turn number 2 now. It's tight right-hander, which leads into the sweeping turn 3 and 4, and then onto the parabolica. And we'll cross the first sector line where Gary Paffett delivers a PB. That's where he ran wide. Again, the front end of the car airborne, was able to carry the speed nonetheless. Always keeping an eye on the mirror then, and through the hairpin he goes. So at the moment it is Rast that's quickest, then it's Wittmann, Müller, Paffett, and then it's Eng. So we're running the clock on René Rast now. He's got Jamie Green ahead of him, about to cross Sector 1 line now, and you can see what the sector has delivered for René Rast, who's on PBs. Nico Müller and Gary Paffett, as we know. So Jamie Green not holding René Rast up, that's for sure. Paul di Resta has gone a personal best in Sector 1 also. He needs to advantage and push himself up the order because it's a P13 at the moment for Paul di Resta. Now, Bruno Spengler has gone faster than anyone through Sector 2, and Lucas Auer has done a quicker sector through Sector 1 than anyone. Of course, Lucas Auer starting the race yesterday on pole position and ended up retiring the car out of the race, sadly. So we're on board with René Rast now, 1:32.787. His time, the best time set so far. And Bruno Spengler now with a personal best through Sector 1, better than anyone through Sector 2. Here comes Bruno Spengler from P9 to P2. So it's now Rast and Spengler, then it's Joel Eriksson is P3, then it's Marco Wittmann. So on board with René Rast now. This is not going to be a record-breaking time. It's not going to better his P1 time that stands at the moment. No, sure enough, it's a 1:32.737 for René Rast. So in actual fact, René Rast pulling it all together in the final sector. Here comes Marco Wittmann. And Philipp Eng, first of all. Marco Wittmann, though, is showing green and purple through Sector 1 and Sector 2. Let's go on board with him. So the two-time DTM champion, who didn't take part in the qualifying session yesterday, heads towards the timing lane now. Marco Wittmann then P7, but he goes to P1 with a 1:32.683. Marco Wittmann goes quickest. So delighted in the BMW garage for Marco Wittmann then, who's the fastest driver so far. Then it is René Rast, Bruno Spengler, Augusto Farfus, and We are counting down the seconds now. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Gary is not going to be able to get another lap in. Once he crosses the timing line now, that's it for Gary Paffett. He is not going to be able to get another lap in, but he does deliver a time that gives him P3 provisionally, a 1:32.846. Here comes Paul de Resta. So Gary, by just a couple of seconds, missed out on being able to deliver another lap. So Paul de Resta now into the Sachs turn. Now bearing in mind, Paul de Resta down there in P11. The sector times for Sector 1 and Sector 2 are not looking brilliant for Paul de Resta. And in fairness, he bails out of the lap. So those drivers that are still out there, none of them are showing colours. So that means it's at the moment it's going to be Wittmann and Rast, followed by Paffett and Spengler, then Augusto Farfus, Edo Mortara.
Very good, thank you.
So Marco Wittmann
Thank
then.
you, guys. I had even a mistake in 17. Car was amazing.
On team radio, passing on his thanks and congratulations to the team. He has delivered.
Even with last race, we finally have one pole of the season.
So please remember to take the USB stick, replace the steering wheel straight to the scales, and yeah, thanks. After yesterday, a great comeback, and now we go for the race.
And after yesterday, by virtue of the fact
Thank you, guys, and as well, top job to you guys. Thanks for the hard work. Was not easy.
had a crash in FP3 that took him out of qualifying and compromised his race as well. So the order is going to be Wittmann, Rast and Paffett, then the 1, 2, 3. And here, confirmation of the times then, and now Gary Paffett is on 240 points. Paul de Resta is on 233. René Rast is on 226. So still mathematically possible for any of the three to take the Drivers' Championship. So Wittmann, Rast, Paffett. And Bruno Spengler will complete the first 2 rows of the grid for the race this afternoon. Gary Paffett with a thumbs up then, P3. Seems relatively comfortable from that. And a super slow-mo of the fastest man in qualifying, Marco Wittmann, with a 1:32.683. And inside the car of Gary Paffett. The drivers will all get together for a photograph. Bernd Schneider to the left-hand side of the picture then, and Toto Wolff in there as well. And a confirmation then of qualifying for race 20, the final race of the season. Marco Wittmann the quickest, then it was René Rast, Gary Paffett, and then Bruno Spengler, Augusto Farfus, Eduardo Mortara is P6. Gary Paffett then P3, let's hear from him.
Oh, this is really exciting. Gary, you're in P3 now, and that means René is in P2 ahead. And you're just keeping it so exciting all the way till the end. First of all, how are your nerves doing, and how are you going to manage in the race?
That was stressful.
And it's going to continue.
Yeah. My first run, I made a big lock up at turn 6, and it wasn't great, but still the car felt really good. Second run, I pushed so hard, turn 1, got a lap cancelled, and in the second lap, I was sideways before turn 1. I mean, it was so close. So I pushed so hard. I mean, it was really scrappy, but I pushed so hard. So to get P3 is amazing. I'm so happy. So yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, a great position to start, and yeah, obviously keeping close to René, which is what we need to do.
And for the race, what are you going to do?
Keep him in my sights.
All right, thank you so much, and best of luck, Gary. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Well done, Gary. Pretty pleased then. As he says, it was perhaps a bit scrappy, but then pressure really on. Super slow-mo of our fastest man, Marco Wittmann, then a 1:32.683. So René Rast then keeps his championship hopes alive, and let's hear from him.
Oh, René, I mean, you guys are keeping it so exciting for us. It's unbelievable. We really need strong nerves, as well as you do. You're ahead, one position in front of Gary, but that means, I guess, now, in regards to the race, you need a really good strategy.
Yeah, of course. Nothing really changes. I mean, obviously, starting from first row is very positive. But then, obviously, we need a bit of luck. Or Gary at least needs to lose some positions. And still 14 points. We closed 1 point now on him. 14 points, still a big gap. But, you know, last year I closed 11. Maybe today a bit tough, but 14 points is in reach.
And I was just going to say, I mean, you were talking about luck. Your lucky streak has been going on. I mean, you had 5 victories in a row, and now I get a 6th one.
I hope so. I mean, when second place is enough, I take the second or the third one. Even the third one would be enough if Gary doesn't score. So let's see.
But you're keeping your calm.
Of course, always.
Thank you, René. Back to you.
Oh, René has worked out all the permutations, hasn't he? It is going to be an exceptionally exciting race this afternoon, that's for sure. And the great thing about DTM is we really don't know what is going to happen. But here comes the starting grid for race 20, the final race of 2018. It's going to be Marco Wittmann from pole position with René Rast alongside him. Gary Paffett then, can he take the championship? From P3, alongside him is Bruno Spengler. Then we find Augusto Farfus and Eduardo Mortara, P5 and P6. Then it's Joel Eriksson and Philip Heng, P7 and P8, the 4th row of the grid, all BMW. And then it's Nico Müller and Timo Glock going from P9 and P10. Paul de Resta, P11, he'll be disappointed with that quali, and Lucas Auer goes from P12. Then it's Daniel Juncadea and Jamie Green, P13 and P14. Then we find Pascal Wehrlein and Mike Rockenfeller ahead of Loic Duval and Robin Freins, rounding out the final row for the race to come this afternoon. So the scene is set. Qualifying has delivered. And once again, what it's done, it's played into our desires of creating still further drama for the race to come this afternoon. And it's going to be played out in front of tens of thousands of spectators here on the 4.574 kilometer Hockenheim circuit. Do not miss a lap of the race. It'll be great.
This is so exciting. It is so much drama. It's almost a thriller here on the racetrack at the Hockenheim Ring. Everything is open for the race, and we're so excited, and we can't wait to find out who the champion 2018 is going to be. So you certainly do not want to miss the race in just a bit. So hold on tight. Here are the highlights, and see you in a bit for the race.